So, anything interesting happened today?
Wow, what a day, huh? Jeez.
Yeah,
hey!
Kind of crazy.
It's like that scene in Airplane where the guy on the runway goes out, and then you see the dude plugging the extension cord back in.
Yeah, I guess there's that. I mean...
That's what happened, kind of, mostly.
Mm.
Luckily, I don't use Instagram that much. Some of my coworkers did. Like, oh my god, Instagram's down. Like, well, that happens.
Well, I mean, how else am I going to look at scantily clad women, apparently? I mean, Twitter.
Instagram models.
I guess Twitter. There you go. There's your answer.
Mm-hmm. Because you can still put racy stuff on Twitter.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, how else am I going to get all my crazy, weird dancey things that apparently are challenges and all that stuff? And
how else am I going to announce what sandwich I'm eating today?
Yeah, seriously.
I need to announce to the world these life events that are occurring. So it's fine. We made it, though. I think all is well. We're fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, no, seriously. I get it. Like I said, it's one of those, it's kind of weird because it's like there were some people who shot me some notes back, on DMs on Instagram, and it was like, oh, I got to get to, it's like, how am I getting to that? Oh, I guess I'm not. And my favorite is because, I hadn't checked Twitter. I just assumed, I was having a bad Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too. I didn't check the news sites to see, oh, yeah, there's a major outage.
Yeah, major outage. Salute. Sorry. That's kind of...
Anywho.
Yeah, so I guess we can...
Welcome. Episode 167.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're here.
There's that.
And Ivan has gone to anger management.
Has he?
Yes, he has. He might join us later in the show if he has calmed his shit enough.
Oh,
okay. He's a very temperamental person. You know him.
Okay.
No, he's got some personal business. He texted me earlier while Facebook Messenger was down. He sent me a text saying he's got some stuff he's got to deal with. He might be on later tonight, might not. We don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, let's kind of get things moving.
Yes.
You want to start? I mean, where do you want to start tonight? I mean, there's a lot of directions we can go here. Yeah. I mean,
let's see. Well, I had a decent week. It's been busy, but our store ended up for the third quarter, so yay. And had my niece's birthday party yesterday, and thing is, I feel bad because
what was the theme? What was the theme of the niece's birthday party?
We're watching the Bears game, and
that's horrible.
And we ordered pizza and beef sandwiches, and then she had to leave early.
Well, I mean that's not horrible, but
yeah, because
how old is your?
She
niece?
just turned 20.
Never mind. I'm thinking little niece.
Oh no,
I'm thinking My Little Pony, that kind of thing. Oh, okay.
No,
Bears game makes a lot more sense now. Okay.
We had to leave. We had to plan the party around a lunch, so that she could get back to the airport. So she had to fly back to college last night.
Okay.
But her flight was delayed, so she didn't get in till 2:30 this morning. So I feel
got
kind
it.
of bad for her because we didn't want her driving all the way to Southern Indiana by herself.
Wait, where does she go?
Southern Indiana, whatever, Evansville, I think it's.
Oh, Evansville. Okay.
Yeah. So down there.
I guess you can't get a direct flight to Evansville.
There is. There's one a day, pretty much.
Oh God, yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, otherwise you got to drive all the way down from Indy. That's a 2-3 hour ride. Not fun either.
Not including getting around Chicago. So.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking if you're. Yeah.
She got in okay, and just for flight delays, so we felt kind of bad for her. But that was part of her birthday present because she wanted to be out for the weekend. She went to a wedding with her boyfriend on Saturday, and then Sunday we had a little lunch and a little party, and she opened her presents, and that was it. So it was good. We had a nice family get together. Watch a couple things. We'll talk about them later in the show.
Okay.
But it was good. It was decent this week.
Beef sandwich sounds awfully good. I have not gotten to like Portillo's in ages. I'm like really, like I've been jonesing for one, and I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was good.
Yeah,
I think we usually we'll stop at one. There's one in Elgin on the way back. I think when the Kane County show is on the 24th, and my friends and I will hit that on the way back up after the show. And Portillo's is always awesome. Never had a bad meal there.
No, that's rare. I mean, there are other places, and don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's just so, I don't know. I've never had an issue with hitting Portillo's and just doing it that way. If I'm looking for either a Maxwell Street Polish or I'm looking for a beef sandwich, that's kind of my go-to, and probably because it's closer and easier. And I'm trying to think otherwise it's like, okay, I got to go out of my way to go find. And no, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's plenty of hot dog places around near me. I mean, Superdog isn't that far.
Superdog, and there's one in Wheeling up by you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking about the one even closer, the other direction in the city. That one's actually closer than Wheeling.
Okay,
believe it or not, that one is actually a lot closer than the one in Wheeling. Believe it or not. So there's that, and then I've always been a fan of Poochie's over like down in Skokie, but I hate to say it, sometimes getting over that way, it's not that, I mean, I can't, it's just,
you're right by Skokie though, right?
Right, yeah, but it's on the other, how do I put this? It's like not anywhere where I'm going in Skokie, if you know what I mean, sometimes. Mm-hmm. So it's like in the part of Skokie where it's closest to Evanston, that seems to be where it's down. Like Hubs is down there, Big Herms is down there. You get the idea. It's more closer to Evanston, and it's like I find myself never down that way as much as I am. How can I say, over closer to like, the middle or closer towards Morton Grove. You get the idea.
Yeah.
And in fairness, their parking is not spectacular over there. They have it, but it's like if you catch them at a busy period of time, it's like, good luck parking in their lot. It's like, and the best is it's not just for them. It's for other businesses too. So it's like, good, have fun. Mm. But yeah, no.
Had our game night Saturday.
Yeah, I saw little bits and pieces of that. What'd you end up playing?
It was Hero Realms, the card game. And we played the campaign through, and when we got to the final boss, it bitch slapped us. So, oh well. It's like we won 3 out of 4 matches.
So Hero Realms, refresh me, is that a superhero genre, or is it more of a
mythical beasts and creatures?
Oh, it's more like a
D&D.
Yeah, more of a D&D style type thing.
Yeah, Hero Realms. Yeah, the same company made it. They were both these games that were kickstarted. The other one was Star Realms, which was all sci-fi with spaceship battles. Mm-hmm. But this was Hero Realms, same premise, but just in a fantasy setup. But the thing is that after we were done, we were just hanging out afterward. Shooting the shit after after the main bad guy bitch slapped us. We were talking, and one of my the host, Kevin, his daughter just got back from her shift at the Wendy's because she's 16 and she's earning an honest living, paying for her, making her car payments, so good on her. But she got to the Wendy's, she got back from Wendy's and she had to vent because she and one other person was the only 2 people working at Wendy's that night, and the drive-through line was wrapped around the building. And they're working as hard as they can. And when the one mean lady got to the window, cussed them out, yelling at them, and she's got 2 little kids in her back seat. It was like, come on, just show some respect. I mean, like, these kids you're lucky they're there. No one's putting a gun to your head saying you have to eat at Wendy's. But you decide to wait in line at this drive-thru, and if it's too late, the line's too long, go somewhere else. Don't be bitching them out. I mean, these poor kids got enough on their plate and not having to deal with these Karens yelling at them.
Oh, we have the, how do you like that? We have the option to do clips.
Clips?
Tonight.
What?
Yeah, that's the new, this is the new Clubhouse thing, which is, so it'll take a 30-second snippet of what you've said, and you can then put it to like either Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or stuff like that, is my understanding. And it's funny, I've been wanting to play with this, but I wanted to use it for Sunday Night Stories last night, but it wasn't available from what I saw, and now it's here. So, haha.
Now it is.
Well, yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I think there's a way to turn it on in your room, but I'm kind of curious as to how it. So if we say anything interesting that's only like a 30-second snippet, we should like clip it and then we can put it on like social media or something crazy.
Yeah, that could work.
So yeah, no, it's great. You know, it's funny you say that. So we had a while back we got like a Raising Cane's here nearby, like in the new shopping center that they are opening up here, and
yeah, I've heard of that place. I think there's one in Crystal Lake.
There might be. It's pretty much chicken fingers, and by the way, it's chicken fingers. And if you want anything else, it's chicken fingers. So that's pretty much how it works. If you want, they do have a chicken sandwich, which is consistent of chicken fingers.
Right.
You know,
between two pieces of bread.
Right. Exactly. It's not like a chicken sandwich. It's chicken fingers on a sandwich.
Chicken fingers.
Right. And so the only other things they have are is like coleslaw, and they do have fries, and they do have Texas toast. It's like, but they don't even like have dessert, which is
what kind
weird.
of fries are they? Are they crinkle cut? Are they steak? Are they thin like McDonald's?
They're more like a crinkle cut, but they're hit or miss because sometimes they're crispy, sometimes they're not. It's just a matter of what batch you happen to get at that moment. Yes. The Texas toast is pretty good.
Sounds like a good place.
Texas toast.
I'll go there only if they have chicken fingers.
Well, seriously. Yeah, can I have cake? No, it's the cake is made up of chicken fingers.
How about a turkey club? How about some chicken fingers, asshole?
Yeah, seriously. No, I the part that always freaks me out is it's like you'd think they'd deviate a little bit, like chicken fingers on a salad. Nope.
Yeah, like chop up some chicken fingers and put them in a salad.
Yeah, something like that. That seems like it might be apparently too much work for them. Apparently.
Doesn't whoa.
Yeah, whoa, hey, buddy.
Don't upset the apple cart here, buddy.
Yeah, seriously.
You're trying to bankrupt us?
I don't think I've ever seen a fast food place that doesn't have dessert until now. They have no dessert. None. No dessert. I'm like, okay, interesting.
Like, I'd gotten well, my sister came out for the weekend, and she's all like, what are we going to have dinner? I was like, okay, so we just drive through. I already wasn't very hungry, but they wanted something sweet, so we got the cinnamon crisp. I haven't had the cinnamon twists from Taco Bell in like 20 years. I burned out on them like years ago, and so like, all right, I'm like, yeah, it's like tasting cinnamon flavored drywall, pretty much.
Yeah, it does feel like yeah. It does seem like you would be like eating like cinnamon. Like styrofoam peanuts.
Yeah, exactly. Packing peanuts with sprinkled in cinnamon. Were you talking about Raising Cane's? What was that about?
Well, so no, the only reason I was mentioning is because you were talking about like around the block, and it's crazy because like there are times like I'm watching, like I'll drive by there and there's like at times when you're sitting there like earlier in the day, and like. Times when you're like you think they would have to be busy, okay, and it's like empty, and then like there are other times you go past. Like there was one night it was like it had to be like 9:00, and it's not just that they're wrapped around the building, they're like in the mall, if you know what I mean. Like, there's cars, like, literally, like, can't get into the parking lot. They're, like, running, like, off into the mall itself. If you know what I mean. And I was like, damn. I'm like, wow.
It's like, I live close to Dunkin' Donuts, and their entrance has a really narrow spot to put their drive-thru in. And like the drive-through can easily spill out into the street and into the 4-lane highway that runs through the heart of the city. So when there's a line for coffee at the Dunkin' Donuts, sometimes it can make for trouble in my neighborhood. Even getting in and out of I have to take another road. But yeah, this is the fact that everyone's hiring, and all the places they even have signs saying, "Sorry for inconvenience, we're understaffed. Please, thank you for the waiting." But yeah, it's crazy. What's happening with especially in the food industry. I'm like, remember, like a year and a half we were essential. Now it's like, no, there's, although not to be confused. I mean, there's still great places to find work. There's lots of places to find work, and a lot of places have hiring bonuses, and they want to incentivize you to stay, and not just like, ooh, they're $1 more over there per hour. I'll go over there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's just the state of how things are right now, and how the food industry is stretched to its limit.
I guess, again, like I said, but hey man, when I want my Frosty that I can like dunk fries in,
chicken fingers.
Oh god. That is the weirdest thing. I will say, it was kind of strange, because like the first time I went there, I'm like, okay, what if I want do you have like regular chicken sandwiches? No, just chicken fingers. Okay. But if I want something, nope, just chicken fingers.
It's like cheeseburger, Pepsi chip.
Yeah, seriously. I was like, okay, that's it.
Chicken fingers.
That's all there is to it. No more anything else. But yeah, no, I get it. Like I said, it's funny. One of these times, I really do want to try though one of these collaborative like card games that you keep playing. I don't know. I haven't gotten around to doing. Yeah. Doing those.
That's the ones we prefer, not the ones where you find the $200 card on eBay and you play it every time you win.
Oh God!
Like the convention exclusive or some promo from being in some tournament that was only on like one day in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the box set.
In fairness, that's what was always. See, to me, the collectible card game thing, that was where I just was never... I think that's what turned me off from some of these games with like, the card games, is the whole collectible card game thing, where literally it was just like... It was great if you had friends who had those cards and they had extra cards, and then they'd like have decks just lying around.
Yeah, and when my nephew was young, we played We buy like the booster boxes of the Dragon Ball card game. When we played it all the time, it was great. Me and my nephew could do. But then it just got to a point where it's like he's like trading with his friends and he's getting better stuff, and he's winning every time. It's like, oh well, I don't want to play anymore because you're gonna win.
Right. Well, and it was weird because like at least in college when I was playing it, we would play it like one big group. So like it was usually never one-on-one. It was usually like, okay, there were other people at the table that were playing, and it was just like one big group, and you had to basically beat it. It was kind of like Battle Royale style, if you know what I mean.
Right. Like a tournament style.
Well, not even that tournament style. It's like, okay, we're all sitting around one table, and it's like everybody's like running their type of deck, and it's like, okay, you just gotta keep knocking everybody, like knocking that person out, knocking this person out.
Okay.
Versus an actual tournament, like one-on-one duel.
Okay. All right.
But the other one I always used to like was, and the only problem was if you didn't have the right deck. Like I said, I had friends who had like a bunch of cards and had all this stuff. So we do like what was called, they call it an Emperor game, I think is what they called it. So there was like, there's one guy who's like basically the main point person on it. And they're the person who's playing in the middle or, in the back, so to speak. And in order to get to, you have to knock out the two people on the left and the right in order to get to that person. I mean, you can fast attack that person, but you can't, you couldn't attack, like you can't do an actual attack, but you could fast affect the person who was like quote unquote the head, which was like the emperor. But the other thing that was interesting was that person could then pass cards on to the other two people who were basically on his team, if you know what I mean. So it was kind of an interesting thing. I like I said, that's where I didn't get it.
Their deck building games is the nomenclature. Not just
unfortunately.
There's collectible card games and then there's deck building games where everybody starts with a base deck and you have to pick from the trade row and build your deck enough to beat your opponent like that.
Right. Well, and like I said, that to me was always, and here's this was the other problem to me with the collectible card game thing was, really, first of all, you have to pick the games that are popular, because if you don't pick the games that are popular, then nobody else is going to play. And then in the end, it's like everybody's just using your cards. So, like when the Star Wars game came out, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I liked, I liked Star Wars. I wanted to play Star Wars, but nobody else had the cards and, that kind of thing. It's like, truthfully, it was either, you're talking about either, Magic or Pokemon.
Right. Or you're the one buying all the cards, and then you have your main deck, and then you have to divvy up your other decks, so in case others are invited to play.
Yeah.
Then you have them on the side. And but
that's
it's not,
true.
Yeah, it's not evened out because your main deck is number one, so it's obviously stronger than the others. Right.
Well, or like I said, and it depends on when you were buying all this stuff and what kind of funds you had and all that kind of stuff too. Because it's like, okay, if you could buy a whole box, you could buy a full on box, but then it's like, okay, I can put together decks and then I can. But even then, you can't put together enough decks for everybody. So,
The thing is, though, too, is these deck building games, sometimes they update themselves into obsolescence. Well, we played a campaign that came out much later after the main core set was fundraised, or was kickstarted or whatever. And as this campaign rolled on, and like I said, this one villain who bitch slapped us and destroyed us after 3 full campaigns afterward. It was like, dang, it's like, this is tough. It's like even too tough. It's a disincentive for you to want to try again. They got to that point where holy jeez, the bad guy grows 2 spikes, and then anytime you attack, all the spikes come at you and you take all this damage. It's like, yikes. It's like, that's too tough. Even for having to get your deck built up and strengthened enough. So some of these updates they get frustrating.
Right. Well, in fairness, I mean, this is kind of where in fairness, this is where role playing the RPG, the role playing game, is where I feel a lot more comfortable. First of all, it's more collaborative. It too is more collaborative, but you've either got a writer / judge that's running things, and if things start to get a little bit too over the top, you can always dial. You can always dial things back in terms of the bad guy.
Yeah, but most times you don't have a board. It's more theater of the mind for you. It's storytelling. Right?
It isn't it. Well, so it depends who you're playing with.
Right.
It depends who you're playing with. If you've got, there are some people who really insist on they must have visuals. They have their little figurine that
maps
they've
or
created.
Boards or right.
And they have the map, or they create maps, and you have to put your figurine down and all that stuff. To me, one of the reasons I've never been a fan of that is sometimes what ends up happening when that happens is, okay, so you need to place yourself, and it's like suddenly you're really much further away than you wanted to be because the way the board is set up versus, how can I say, now it's lengthening, now in theory, for example, if you're a hand-to-hand combatant, okay, now I gotta get there. Okay, well, now you gotta use multiple actions to get there first. It's like, can't we just be, it's like sometimes it makes sense to have the bad guy further away and all that stuff, but sometimes they just do it.
But it forces in the board game aspect where just run, it's a short sprint. But no, now you have to take 2 turns.
Well, it's not even that, or it's like, okay, I have to take multiple actions.
Right.
Okay, I'm taking multiple actions this round. Great. how can I say, multiple actions, and none of them include me actually attacking something this round, if you understand what I mean.
Right.
It's like, great, now I'm standing in front of this person, and I've done all my actions for the round, but now he gets to whack me. It's like, no, this is stupid. And then the other thing is, from a judging perspective, one of the things that sometimes frustrates me as a judge is when certain people insist on having some of this stuff, and you're trying to play fast and loose because you're trying to keep the action going, and you're trying to fudge a couple of things on purpose just so like people don't get hurt or don't lose their characters or bad things don't happen, and people just insist that that they have to have it all drawn out and they have to be so they can be where they have to be, and then later on it's like, as a result, bad things end up happening. They're like, "Whoa, why did that happen to me?" It's like, well, because you insisted that I had to like create a map so that you could place yourself, when really in reality it would have been better if you hadn't done that. But yeah, there are some people who look. I mean, you've seen in the Big Bang Theory. I mean, there are some people where it's all, they play Dungeons and Dragons and it's all about the minis. About the minis, about the board, about the graph paper, they're about the graph paper dungeons. Some people have like, they have like all that stuff where they can develop like a whole, a whole like, they've got like houses and stuff. You get the idea. Mm-hmm. Some people are really into it that way, and they want that visualization. For me, I don't have an issue with it, but sometimes I want to be able to play. There's certain things where it's like I'd rather play fast and loose on it. I think it really depends on, how do I say, if you know off the top of your head from the beginning that, okay, we're going to have minis and we're going to do all this stuff, that's great. But if you get the idea. I feel like I've beaten this into it.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's and that's part of it is common sense too. Like you're going to have your fighters in front, you're going to have your healers and rangers in the back, so they can shoot the arrows and they can heal the fighters who are in the front. Like it's
you assume that's what's going to happen. You assume that's what's going to happen. That just like here, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm playing Star Wars RPG. I'm like, everybody's just being a pain in the ass. I'm like, fine, I open the door. There's 200 stormtroopers in there. I close the door.
Well, now they know you're there.
Right, I know we know we're there. And literally, I was like, it's for you guys. I'm gonna go now. Bye. See ya. It's like, we're not going that way. But we need to go that way. That's right. But there's 200 stormtroopers in there. Well, maybe somebody shouldn't have opened the door. I'm like, well, you guys, we've been arguing for 10 minutes. Got bored. Jesus. Well, I told you about the one time we were playing old school TSR Marvel superheroes, and our group is in Arkham Asylum, and we're supposed to be sneaking in, and there's a door that we have to
Marvel,
get past.
what are you doing in Arkham Asylum in Marvel?
Well, we added some things here or there.
Okay.
The GM like to use things back and forth, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So we're in Arkham, and we can't, and there's this door, and people keep botching rolls to get through the door. And now we're trying to figure out a couple things, and we're having conversations, and literally, like, people are like, shut up. No, you shut up. No, you shut up. Well, if you listen to me, I was the leader. Well, shut the hell up. Don't you realize you're supposed to be quiet? So we're sitting there. Well, no, here's the amusing part. We spent 4 hours trying to get through the door.
Oh, my God.
We spent 4 hours. Well, the funny part is, if you read the script, it's hilarious. I mean, it reads like one of those comedy superhero groups where literally we're just like...
If you read the transcript of this night's campaign.
It was hilarious as we're having it happen because like we're all like, you know, we kind of were kind of a more of a, how do I say? I mean, don't get me wrong, we could definitely fight with the best of the superhero groups in that quote unquote universe. But we were the group where literally our tagline was, "Oh no, not them, anybody but them."
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. So literally, we spent 4 hours fighting a door at Arkham Asylum, and we lost to the door. So yeah, I mean, and the funny part is that it was one of the greatest nights of role playing I've ever had because it was hysterical. I mean, it really was. It's like we could do this. It's like, well, why would you do that? Shut up! You shut up! No, you shut. It's like, and the best part is we're trying to be quiet, and the irony is we're making so much noise, it wouldn't have mattered how we got through the door at that point. So, yeah. Like I said.
So how was your week?
Week was interesting. So, I actually attended a live storytelling event on Friday night.
Wow.
And, oh my God, So it's so funny. I had a family member say to me, "Do you think you need your vaccination card?" And I said, "Well, I didn't see anything about needing a vaccination card." And then, so I park. Like, this is happening over, like, in Lincoln Square. So it took me about 15, 20 minutes to get there. And I'm like, okay, I found great parking. I'm good. I had to pay street parking, but that's fine. But I'm literally across the street. This is fine. And I go look at the ticket, the revised ticket that they sent me. And I can't help but notice that I see something that says, and make sure you bring something for proof of vaccination.
You don't have a picture of your vaccination card on your phone?
No, I did not. I never thought that.
That's the first thing I did when I got my shot.
No, so, well, there was other reasons why I didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm literally like, well, I know these people, and they'll let me in. And then I realized that the place they're at, they actually have a security guy and a guy who isn't related in any way, shape, or form. And they're like, so, vaccination card. And I'm like, I'm like, honestly, I don't have it. And they're like, do you have anything that can prove you've been vaccinated? And I'm like a letter or anything. And I'm like, shit, did I get anything? Like in an email or anything? So now I gotta check. So I go back to the car and I'm fooling around with like my phone just as like check email, and I'm like, I see this email that from Walgreens. It's like, hey, congratulations, you've been vaccinated. It's like, I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm like, perfect, it's here. I can get it here. Actually, no. First, I went to like my hospital app.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like where my hospital system app, and I thought maybe I'd find it in there, and it wasn't there. And I'm like, oh, geez, where else could it be? I'm like, well, let's see if I have any emails from Walgreens at some point that said something about it, because that's where I got it. And they're like, oh yeah, you'll totally have it here. And so the problem is I go to their site, it won't do it. So then I have to download the app, and that just takes forever to download the app. And then they want to ask me like a million questions on top of it at that point. And I'm like, fuckers, I just need to prove that I'm vaccinated and I can show them this thing. So finally I'm able to find it. It's in there. It shows a prescription, so I find it. And I get in, so I get to go watch it. Yeah, I get to go watch the show. It was interesting because they did have even though they insisted on a vaccination card, they insisted that everybody stay masked. Unless you were legitimately
unless
eating
you're on
or drinking
stage.
Something. Well, yeah, unless you were on stage or you were legitimately eating or drinking something. And it was funny. They went out of their way to sit there and be like, that does not mean you're holding your hand on a beer. It means that you're legitimately taking a sip or you're legitimately drinking. That counts as you can take your mask off. You know, they were pretty insistent on that.
Did you have people scope in the room while you were sitting?
Not necessarily, but it was interesting because I was sitting with two people, and before it was said, they were not wearing their masks. And then it got said, and I get the impression they weren't necessarily thrilled about it, but they did wear their masks. It was a good show, though. So it was the 7th anniversary for a group called Story Jam, and I happen to know the owner of that. And there were some people who came in from out of state who I've seen doing other storytelling stuff and I've done stuff with, during this whole time that we've been virtual, but they came in to do the show. So it was really pretty cool because I got to meet some people who I've gotten to know over the year, virtually, but never met in person.
And this was the first time meeting them in person.
Right. So that was cool. I wasn't actually on the show for Friday night. They had 15 storytellers, and every single one of them was like, in some ways, Mike, I was really glad I wasn't on the show because I'm like sitting there like watching each person, and I'm like, okay, that was really good. Okay, that person was really good. Like kind of one of those where it was like,
oh, good thing I'm not up against hate to run into him in a dark alley.
Right. It's not even like a competition thing. It's just kind of like, okay, who's not gonna bring it tonight? And you could tell like all the storytellers were literally like, I don't want that to be me. They had taken it up an extra notch or two that way.
Yeah, they brought their A game. That's good.
Right. So they really kind of brought their A game. And so, so I got to see that. And then Saturday night, I hung out with a bunch of them, at the Kedzie Inn, and they had an open mic. And so I did do the open mic. It was funny. I wasn't going to do one, but then at the last minute, I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. So that was the first time I've been on a stage. The first time I've actually been on a stage since
almost 2 years, right?
Yeah, probably since like February 2020.
Okay.
That was the first time I've been on a stage.
That was the last one before the
right before the fit hit the shan.
Right.
So, somewhere around 20, that was the last time I did like a live in person of anything anywhere where it was like an in-person presentation. So it was kind of interesting because, it had been a while since like, I could like physically look out at an audience and get kind of a feel or, oh wait, they didn't laugh the way I thought they were going to, or, oh, they're laughing. I gotta wait for them to pause. I gotta wait. So I gotta pause, that kind of thing. And it's interesting. So like I said, it was fun. Although it was interesting because the place we chose, so this place, the Kedzie Inn, so, it's a bar, right? And I'm like kind of sitting there and he says to me, so I go up to the bartender, he's like, hey, so what are you looking for a drink? I said, hey, how about a Jack and Coke? And, he's like, oh, we don't have Jack Daniels.
A bar that doesn't have Jack Daniels?
That's what I said. I mean, literally, it was like if I wasn't there hanging out with friends, I literally would have been like,
yeah, I don't drink Jack, but I know Jack Daniels is like the Coca-Cola of whiskey.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, how do you not have Jack Daniels? And it's not like it's a high-end bar. This is like kind of like a divey bar. Mm-hmm. So now it's even more amusing because it's like, you don't have Jack Daniels, and it's not like you're this high-end bar. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, we have other kinds of whiskey. I'm like what? It's like, I'm like, just pick a whiskey then at that point. I don't care, mm-hmm. Because obviously you don't have Jack Daniels. What the hell? So yeah, it was just kind of weird that there was a bar that didn't have Jack
without
Daniels.
Jack.
I've never had that happen before. It's very strange.
All they served was chicken fingers too.
Oh yeah. Well, ironically, I did have chicken fingers that night. I did have chicken fingers.
It wasn't Raising Cane's.
It wasn't Raising Cane's. But yeah, they had about 10 to 12 storytellers, and everybody was pretty good. Ironically, I would say I was the weak link. Partially because I wasn't planning on telling a story that night, and I hadn't been on the stage in almost 2 years, so it was kind of weird. I'm like, okay, all right, how do I do this again? So.
Oh, a little rusty. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Things like that. Like for example, here on Clubhouse that you don't have to worry about, or on Zoom you don't have to worry about, and then suddenly it's like, oh wait, I got to remember how I do this the other way. Because it's been so long since I've given anything in person that it's like,
different way of thinking. It's like it's like in Firefox. Think in Russian. Right. It's a different way of doing business.
Right, exactly. Because it's like, now you're kind of playing off, the audience a little bit more and kind of can gauge reaction a little bit more. And, you're on a stage and it's a little bit more intimate and all those kinds of things. So, yeah, it like I said, it was a cool weekend. I'm glad I had a chance to do it. I, hung out with a couple buddies of mine to watch, some football. I have this one friend of mine, Mike, who is going way too far on the DraftKings thing, where literally he pulls out, he had a whiteboard, like one of those the size of a chalkboard, whiteboard, and he's got all of his
You mean like a clipboard size?
No, we're talking
bigger than a clipboard?
We're talking classroom size.
Jesus.
And he's got all his bets lined out.
Oh boy.
And it's not game bets. He's got bets on players from a fantasy, almost kind of like a fantasy, like Will Mahomes, I guess the over under on Mahomes touchdowns was 2.5 or something yesterday. It's do I take the over or the under? And he's got all these bets like this on different players about how many receptions or how is this. And he's got the whole board filled up.
Yeah, it's weird how sports gambling has become so mainstream and legalized.
Yeah,
because it used to be so taboo and even talk about it. You could be get a finger waved at you from a cop.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I've gone to his place the last couple of weeks because it's funny because he's got, so on one TV he's got that red zone where it's anytime there's something interesting happening, it goes straight to whatever interesting is going on.
Okay.
And so if somebody's in the red zone, it immediately goes to the red zone.
It's like NFL for ADD. Got it.
Oh, it is. It's great because, in fairness, once you watch that, watching regular football is hard.
Watching one game and just one game for 3 hours.
Especially if it's not a good game.
You're right. If it's a blowout or
if it's the Bears,
two teams you don't care about. Right.
Or if it's the Bears, the chances are if it's the Bears, it's not going to be very good.
No, we're getting a little at the end of that last one. We're getting a little nervous, but
yeah, but the point being, so he's got that, and then he's got another TV for whatever game is on locally that he can pull up. So he's got the double TV thing going.
Jesus, sounds
and then
like
he's got
NORAD.
His board. Oh no, it's I joked with him. I'm
like Mission Control and his
no.
sports betting.
I said to him, I'm like, dude, you need to do a YouTube video, be like, I'm in the man cave and here's my bets for today. It'd be doing one of those kind of things.
Right.
Here's my gigantic war board, that kind of thing. It's just have fun with it.
Let us consult the board.
In fairness, I don't know how he did this week, but last week he hit on 56% of his stuff, and he made $800.
So if you make over a certain amount, obviously you got to declare it on your taxes.
I guess
I presume you have to.
Not my problem. Yeah, not my problem.
No,
but,
I do not ever plan on doing this. But I presume, just like Vegas, if you win over a certain amount, you got to declare it.
Yeah, I assume so. But like I said, it's so basically, I did that Sunday, and so that was my Sunday, and then obviously I had I had a Toastmasters meeting on Sunday night, and then I had Sunday Night Stories, and we didn't have a ton of people last night. We only had about
interesting on Sunday Night Stories.
So we were kind of short storytellers, so I ended up telling a story last night. And, so I talked about when this one time, the first time I went to Vegas after I turned 21.
So you've told me that story before. Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you about the dance club or no?
I don't remember all the details, but I remember the 21 and I remember remember the time. Well, no, that was when you were in college, and they thought you were 21, and then you turned 21. But you've been showing up here for 3 years, right?
Yeah. No. So so I'll make this really quick. So basically, we go to, I have two buddies of mine who are in this whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and they don't want to pay for it mode. They want to like meet some sort of girls and get laid. And that's
and they think they're getting laid for free in Las Vegas.
Right, they're going to find somebody, local. They're going to find a local, or they're going to find somebody else who's like there. So they insist that we got to go to this dance club out at the Rio, and so we get there, and we finally get in after we're waiting in line, and like it looks like one of those 90s beer commercials. Cause again, this is the 90s. Like with the lasers everywhere. I mean, they're even playing KC and the Sunshine Band, like do a little dance, make a little love. Okay. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, these women are like a 26. I mean, they're all gorgeous. I mean, they're wearing practically nothing. They're wearing like designer clothes. I mean, and like, I'm looking at there's 4 of us, and I'm looking at my one friend who isn't really feeling the tiger, isn't really like looking for that kind of thing this week, that weekend. And we're kind of like looking at each other going, we are way out of our league here.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other 2 are just like, target rich environment. Let's go. And they go like bounding into like, go try to dance with all these girls and stuff. And that's fine. And we do kind of try to dance a little bit, but obviously none of these women are having it. So me and my buddy are sitting there, me and my other buddy, while the other 2 are like acting like there's sharks in there's sharks in the water, and they're gonna go find the chum, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And me and my one buddy were sitting there talking about it. It's like, man, I really wish there was a way we could like basically have a really good time with this. I said, well, there is one. I did have one idea. And he said, yeah, what's that? And he says to me, I said to him, I'm like, well, if we got about $20 or $30, we could tip that bouncer over there so that we could go sit in the VIP section. And then, if you and I could scrounge together some money, we could probably we either get a really good bottle of some sort of champagne, or we get a couple of cheap bottles of champagne. And then we kind of sit there, and, I'm sure some women will come over, because, we're in the VIP section, so now it looks like we're kind of high roller.
They want to tap that bottle.
Right, and they'll come over, and they'll drink, and, maybe we can get some girls that way. And my buddy's like, that's a pretty good plan. And he's like, that's a good idea. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm feeling pretty proud of myself. And then from behind we hear, yeah, that ain't gonna work. And we turn around, and it's one of the bouncers. And we kind of look at him, he's like, it's a good plan. It's just not gonna work here. And I'm like, all right, I'll bite. Why is this not gonna work? And he's like, because about 80 to 90% of the women in here are working. Mm-hmm. As in, they're all like 80 to 90% of the women in here are escorts.
Yeah, they're all.
Which now all makes all the sense in the world. Why
high-end escorts, right?
Right, like why on the scale of 1 to 10 they're like a 26.
Right.
And like, I'm like, he's like, they'll come over, they'll drink with you, and you'll have a good time. But when things happen at the end, they're gonna, if you want to go do something, you better have extra money for that. And we're like, oh. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, he's like, but it is a good plan. I'm like, he's like, normally it would be a good plan. And we're like, yeah, well, thanks for letting us know. He's like, no problem. And after we're sitting there, we're thinking about this, and we're thinking about our 2 buddies, and we're like, they think they're the sharks in the water, and really, they're the chum.
Right.
They're the chum, not us. And it's like, I look at my buddy, and I'm like, you want to get out of here and like go find someplace to get something to eat and go play some blackjack or something? He's like, yeah, let's go. And it was so funny because like all weekend they kept trying to go to these dance clubs and do this, and every single time it was the same thing.
Same situation, right?
Meanwhile, we went like all week. We were like at like Cirque du Soleil. We went to a couple of gentlemen's clubs. We went to a couple different hotels and gambled, all that kind of stuff, and had a great week. And like they spent all week like trying to chase like women for free,
chasing tail, but they ain't gonna get none.
And not getting anywhere.
Nope.
So, yeah, like I said, so that was kind of the story I told last night, and that was the lot shorter version of it and quicker, more down and dirty version. But yeah, so I told that one last night, and it went over kind of well.
Good.
But so yeah, that was kind of that was kind of my week. Obviously, I did watch a few things. So I caught this La Brea show that's on NBC.
Yeah, was it some kind of like supernatural kind of thing, or
so
not like the show Supernatural, but I mean it has some mystical creatures in it or something.
Right. So the long and the short of it is, it's basically, hey, we got rid of Manifest. We can use another show just like Manifest, but not Manifest. You know, or kind of like a Lost kind of thing, where it's that kind of thing.
Right.
La Brea is like the next one of those.
Okay.
And there's a part of me where it's like, there's some parts of me where it was like, maybe this would be interesting, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to invest time, I'm going to say, week to week time on this when, you know, it's distinctly possible it may not even get a season 2. And I can always watch the rest of this, like either on Netflix or Peacock or something like that. And I can watch it and binge it at another time when it's fully complete. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not probably going to watch it. You know, if I do, it'll be something like that. So, I just didn't.
How many episodes in were you?
Oh, that was the premiere. That was the pilot.
Just the one, the two, the one, those like 1 hour or 2 hour pilot?
Yeah, the 1 hour pilot.
Okay.
And, I mean, it had some intriguing stuff, but I'm just like, again, I was just like, it assumes, you know, am I really going to put the time into the show when there's a possibility there may not even be a season 2? You know, and if I'm going to do that, I don't feel like I need to watch it every week. I feel like I can wait till it gets to where it's all put together and I'll binge it later or something to see if it was any good. You know, nothing like, oh my god, I have to watch it immediately.
The first
week.
episode didn't grab you, so.
Well, it grabbed me. It just, how I say, I'm still a little annoyed. I think part of it is I'm still a little annoyed that NBC didn't re-pick up Manifest, and I'm kind of watching this, and I'm thinking to myself,
a Manifest knockoff.
Well, I mean, obviously they're doing different things with it, but it kind of had the same feel to it, and I'm just kind of like, you could have just kept Manifest.
They don't want to pay those actors. Maybe.
Probably, and maybe that's it, or something along those lines. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. Again, yeah, I just wasn't. You know, I hope they do well. You know, maybe it'll do well. Maybe people will really pull to it. But again, it's that whole kind of Lost thing where it's okay. There's a mystery. And you're going to have to watch it, and every time you think you've figured out or you get more information,
we're going to throw another plot twist at you.
Right, we're going to throw another plot twist at you, and we're going to keep moving the goalposts, and all the way to the end, and then in the end, that ending better be worthwhile, or you're going to sit there later and be like, why did I fucking
like nobody talks about Lost anymore. There's a reason. I don't think a lot of people were pissed off by the ending.
Well, it's funny. It depends on the Lost fans, because there are some Lost fans who really will fight you to the end about the ending. I was not a Lost person, and it was funny because there was like an hour overview of the whole show that I caught before the finale, and it was enough of a primer where I was like, "Oh, okay, I think I can watch this." And so I watched the finale, and I didn't know nearly enough, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But I knew enough to get by, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, this isn't any good. This is dumb. and I'm like, watch. And it was funny, because I was really tempted. I can't remember what cable network was just getting Lost. Where you could watch it, like that kind of thing.
Was it ABC? You know? Or the ABC was Heroes?
No. ABC was the right network because Heroes was NBC. But
okay.
But the point
I
being,
got them switched. Okay.
One of the cable networks was going to like be running Lost, where it was like they were to run it like every day, that kind of thing. So like you could like catch up really fast and watch it if you really wanted to, if you know what I mean. And I was like really tempted to do it, and then I watched the final episode, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm really glad I didn't watch this show ever.
Like, I always wanted to get back to when Breaking Bad ended. I watched the last 2 episodes. Never watched another full episode before then. But when I heard the show was ending, I was like, okay, I'll watch the last 2 episodes. And then I was like, oh, this was good. And I don't know, like some of these people, these characters who've been in and out, where, what's his name? The Heisenberg visits before the end. And so, yeah, I thought, maybe I'll go back eventually, you know, maybe, but I thought about, good thing I didn't buy any DVD box sets at the time, but I'm sure now it's all out there on the Ethernet, so I can find some.
Yeah.
If I want to, I can start from the beginning and binge all the way through.
Yeah, you and I are in the same boat where I've never gotten around to Breaking Bad either. If anything, it's kind of funny. What we should do at some point, like, we should, like, basically start it at the same time and, like, go one at a time and basically use that as
we could be the squares of the Breaking Bad.
Yeah, we could really do, like, a segment where it's like, hey, you know.
Table, Pat.
I don't know. You know, methamphetamine table or whatever.
Science, bitches. Yeah.
But, so I saw, like I said, I thought I mentioned that, and then so Titans, you know.
Yeah, what's going on Titans over there on DC? On the HBO Maxes.
So this week, you know, so we're in episode 10. And as good as I loved episode 9, episode 10 was just, I don't know how to put this, Mike. It's like sometimes I feel like they forget. I don't know. It just.
They forget what?
It's like, look, I get that we're talking that Dick Grayson isn't Bruce Wayne. But Dick Grayson is a really great detective.
Yeah, and you'd think, you know, that some of Bruce's great detective is rubbed off on him.
Right, and on top of it, because Bruce Wayne isn't there, you have access to the Batcave. So you have access to all the things that Bruce would have access to.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I'm watching, and again, I'm trying not to spoil because you haven't seen. You're still, like, down by, like, what, episode 4?
Yeah, I'm still at end episode 3.
You're in episode 3.
Right,
okay.
when Hank goes kablooey.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, so there, you know, I mean, I get that Scarecrow has to have his plan work. I get that. If you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I'm kind of like, all right, they're making this a dire situation when really in reality, I'm like kind of looking at it and I'm like, wait, why wouldn't they do this? Or why is it that they're not doing that? You know what I mean? And it's logical stuff. And it's logical stuff because it's stuff that like we've seen previously in like other cartoons, other movies, other TV shows.
Or other media, right.
Other, you know, even the comics where it's like, that doesn't make any sense. And so it's like, okay, this is really not, like it's disconnecting. And so, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it feels a little bit like lazy writing at times in terms of what they're trying to do, in terms of like what their story is that they're trying to advance versus the characters involved, if you understand what I mean, and what the characters' abilities of what they have available can do. And so it's frustrating because
you're going to be like Tom Hanks in Big, where you're just like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, and I've said this before, you know, my biggest headache about this was I just didn't see Scarecrow as a big enough villain. And the headache I had with it was, okay, fine, you're going to have Scarecrow and the Red Hood. Okay, I guess, and that would be ridiculously formidable for Batman. Okay? Is it really ridiculously formidable, though, for the Titans, in which you've got Beast Boy, Starfire, Superboy, Nightwing, and in this case, Blackfire? I don't know.
Mm.
And the problem I keep having is it's like, I feel like Dick Grayson like forgot how to be like how to be a detective, and like how to do like the little things that you would need to do, considering he was being taught by the world's greatest detective.
Right.
Batman.
Yeah, like I said, some of that stuff should have rubbed off on him.
Right. And it's like, again, and so that's the frustrating part. And it's like, the best way I can put this is, so I'll just say this. We've now gone through 10 episodes. We have 3 episodes left. I mean, it's kind of, obviously they're gonna be fine. I kind of hoped that we would see something that would really take this to another level, and I'm just not sure, given where things are at and the way that we're going with villains. I mean, I just don't.
Well, I hope they surprise you, because they've surprised us by having these Batman villains fight the Titans instead of Titan villains fight the Titans.
Well, and the weird part is here's the other thing that I'm. So let me tell you about what my biggest fear is. My biggest fear is, in the end, Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman, comes back into town in the final episode and pretty much saves
and
their
saves
ass.
The day, and then the Titans.
Pretty much bitch slaps Scarecrow and Red Hood in like 2 seconds flat. That's my biggest concern.
Or
he
saves the day and beats the bad guys with a little help from the Titans. Not much, but a little.
Yeah, I don't even, at this rate, I could see it going the other way. And I mean, so it's either that, or are we spending, I mean, assuming that they get a green light for season 4, are we spending another season in Gotham? I mean, because it doesn't seem like that part of that storyline is getting dealt with much. We'll see.
Yeah.
Again, we've got, and the funny part is, there's a couple of other moving parts now where it's like certain people aren't in, we're starting to get in the fold where, and I can say this without there being a problem, Donna and Raven have showed up in Gotham, but they're not with the Titans yet, if you understand what I mean.
They haven't reunited with the crew.
Right. They haven't fully reunited with the crew yet. Just like Tim Drake is obviously not dead in Gotham now.
They teased him in the first episode.
Right. And so at some point, Tim Drake has to get into the fold here, and he really hasn't yet. So, those kind of things are going to have to happen by the end of the season. You got 3 episodes, and it's like, okay, I literally think it might take an entire episode for them to get Tim Drake, Donna Troy, and Raven all back with the Titans, if you understand what I mean. So, okay, if that's 1 episode, you've got 2 episodes left for the season. I don't know. Again, I just feel like I don't know what they were trying to do this season. I really don't. And it's like, I don't know. I just wish that they.
Well, I said we're the situation was like the first episode. The first season dealt with Trigon. Season 2 dealt with mostly Deathstroke, and now we're on to what we're going on now.
Yeah, and the weird part about this is, to me, the weird part about this is that there still are some Titan villains that are totally possible, but we don't seem to be. I mean, the only thing I can think of is if they're staying in Gotham, maybe season 4 is Brother Blood in Gotham, where he's setting up his church in Gotham, which could be interesting and would be worthwhile. I think the most interesting part is I'm not positive that we might not see Ra's al Ghul in season 4 at this rate. Just a few things that I keep noticing here or there. I mean, there
It'd be cool maybe if they got Liam Neeson back.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
No, I don't think so either, but could be cool.
I mean, they did have Gizmo early in the season, and he's part of the Fearsome Five, which would be an interesting thing. I just don't know how they would do it and what the rationale would be. You can't use the Brotherhood of Evil because Doom Patrol's using them. So
I don't know. Well, like I said, you've got 3 episodes left, so I hope you got some resolution.
Yeah, I hope
coming.
So I also caught. So I did catch Doom Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
Doom Patrol was good. It wasn't great. It was funny. And it's kind of amusing, as it always is. I don't know. So far this season, the first 3 episodes haven't been nearly as much fun as the other 2 seasons. But I'll cut them some slack because they had 2 really great seasons. And again, I want to see I'm very interested in the villains for this season. So, I'm willing to cut them a little slack on that. So, but we should get to the stuff that we both actually watched this week.
Yeah, we leading up this whole week, I've been falling down YouTube rabbit holes of just watching clips from The Sopranos and remembering all the stuff and all the little fights like the between certain characters and whatnot. I knew they weren't going to be in it, but it was great refamiliarizing myself with all that. Because being from The Sopranos season 1, I was really excited for this movie, The Many Saints of Newark. It came out. Some of my coworkers didn't know it had come out. I was like, I didn't see, it's advertised on HBO, I'm sure obviously, or HBO Max.
Yeah.
But I've not seen a lot of widespread advertising. And as far as I know, none of my local theaters, at least my local theater, didn't have it in the theater.
I don't know.
So, yeah, that watched it Friday night. And part of my enjoyment was the relying on the name dropping, like in X-Men or X-Men 2, when you'd see a mutant, you're like, oh, spot the mutant. It's like, oh, that's that dude, or oh, that's that girl, or whatever. It's like part of that is like name dropping too. I mean, we see a young Silvio Dante, we see a young Paulie,
right,
and some part of the narration from Christopher, and teenage Tony, and he's dating Carmela, and she's got a high school jacket on. So part of the enjoyment was the name dropping from the original series. That being said, I still think this was a really good mobster film.
Yeah.
As a standalone, you don't have to. You could be just an ancillary fan or for a peripheral fan, and not have to know like the intricacies of all the characters, and still enjoy this film.
Maybe
it did help, especially, but. Some people like, yeah, and the aspect of the intertwining storyline between him and Harold, the guy from the ghetto, the ghetto,
yeah,
because that's something rarely touched upon in The Sopranos. Was of course this took place in the late '60s or the '70s. For those who haven't watched it yet, for The Many Saints of Newark, there will be spoilers. For this movie. It's out on HBO Max. I'd highly recommend it. And anyway, so they intertwine with Harold and how he's going to muscle in on the Italians' turf with some of what there's stuff they're going on, or whatever. They play their numbers or whatever, and they're just even just playing dice out in the street or whatever. And that was interesting as well. It was a fun aspect. Of course, this took place in the late '60s, so he had the race riots, and that was heavily intertwined. But the movie mainly revolves around Dickie Moltisanti, who plays Christopher's dad in the movie. And from other clips, or even just like in a passing, if you watch The Sopranos, that Tony idolized him. Because Tony's father wasn't ideal. I mean, he spent time in prison, and so he wasn't always there, and he had a horrible relationship with his mother and his sister. And so Dickie Moltisanti was who he looked up to. And we see that. And as played in 1967 and 1971, 2 versions of Tony Soprano. And this was very well done in my opinion. I liked it a lot. When it was over, I wanted another hour at least. It was good, and it did help tie in. I don't remember any of the intricate stories. I remember when the guy who played Uncle Junior, I think, did a well enough job, and he even said like the one line he dropped at dinner. So you never had the makings of a varsity athlete. I mean, that's stuff that Uncle Junior carries 30 years hence whatever into The Sopranos. And sure enough, he didn't get into the football team. He was horrible in school. And how it just shaped these events shaped young Tony to become the villain that he is today.
Well, so the interesting thing to me is a couple things. One, I will say that I think, could you watch it standalone? You can.
Yeah. But you get a whole lot more enjoyment.
Right. All the ancillary characters you would not understand or catch or see those things, and it wouldn't mean anything to you. And so there's that. I do think it's interesting.
This was for like, I don't suppose like the MCU of The Sopranos or something like that.
Yeah, kind of.
When you see a guy play a young Silvio Dante and his wig comes off, it's half on.
And then there's Big Pussy, and there are people playing the other characters too.
Right.
Yeah. Again, and it's funny because we don't hear much from Janice in the movie, but Janice is around, who was Tony's sister.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see much from Tony's sister. I thought it was interesting that Edie Falco ends up playing Tony's mother in the end, which I thought was interesting because certainly she's a phenomenal actress.
Yeah.
So it makes all the sense in the world to have her do it. But it is a nice twist because it's kind of like the "Did you marry your mother?" kind of thing. Even though, really, in reality, Carmela isn't necessarily a lot like Tony's mom. And again, let's remember in the Sopranos, Tony's mom at one point tries to kill him.
They conspired. Yeah, she conspired with Junior.
Right, at one point.
And Junior ordered a hit on him. And of course,
right.
this movie's so. But at the end, when we find out, like I said, spoilers, when Dickie is taken out, and who did it and why, I was so mad.
Well, and it makes sense, but
it does make sense in Junior's character.
Makes sense. Right. Well, not only that, but it makes sense in the fact that it's like, it is kind of interesting to me because it's like, all right, so at some point, Junior is running the family.
Yeah, he doesn't, but I mean.
So, right. Well,
but that wasn't until after couple decades later when Jackie dies of cancer, and then, like, we know Tony's the brains of the operation, but Junior's the lightning rod, and if something goes wrong, he takes the hit. I think that's how they set it up in the first couple seasons of the show.
Well, right, but in the beginning, it's Tony's. It's not technically Tony. It's Junior. Junior is like the guy. He's like the guy.
No, he's got he had the seniority, yeah. But
right, exactly. But it's interesting in that regard. There was a part of me at times where I'm like, when are we getting to teenage Tony? I felt like there was points where I'm like, are we ever going to get to like there has to be a teenage Tony because
we know that Michael Gandolfini plays him.
Gandolfini's kid is in his 20s, and it's like, okay, when are we getting here? I get that you needed some of the backstory with Harold and the whole black people trying to take back their own crime syndicates and whatnot and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So there's that, and I get that they needed to set some of that up, but it just felt like that could have gone about 20 minutes shorter. And the other thing was, it was interesting because it's like, in the end, in the final the final minutes of the movie, all of it makes sense, and all of it makes sense as to exactly what sends Tony down his path.
Right. Was Ray Liotta's right? The Dickie Moltisanti's uncle, pretty much in prison, says, you've had all this tragedy around your life. Your father and your mistress, who he both killed, but he lied about it to his father's brother. It says all this tragedy around you, and you care so much about this Anthony. I'd say my advice is stay away from him. Leave him, keep him out of your life. And so he's, you see him at the end. He struggles to, I'm not here, and Silvio sends him away. And, he's upset because he cares deeply about this. It's like he sees a son in Tony. And then how he sets him on the path about, stealing stereo speakers and whatnot.
Right. Well, that final scene where that final scene is really the one where it all clicks together. And again, I don't want to spoil too much, but that final scene where they show the flashback to the Pinky Promise.
Right.
Where
he's looking down at Malt Dickey and it's,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I thought that was the most interesting, one of the things I thought that was the most interesting was the choice of narrator and the perspective that the narrator had. Because we ended up getting Christopher as the narrator. And what's interesting about Christopher being the narrator is we get Christopher as the narrator from basically beyond the grave.
Yeah. Well, the opening scene is that they're attending a funeral, and the camera pans past some headstones, and you hear their voices and their lamentations, and then all of a sudden you hear Christopher, and everybody's ears perk up, and there's not much narration to it, but there's just enough. Well, they didn't want to tie it too far forward, but they did.
Right, but it's interesting to see. But it's interesting because we're getting a narrator who is looking at things from all the way down at the end.
Yeah, to the point where he was born, where he was baby.
Right, to the point where literally he's coming at it from a perspective of, I've been killed, I'm dead, and I'm in the pearly gates or whatever you want to call it. Okay, and now we're gonna go all the way back to before I was even born, and even from the beginning, he is basically, you can tell Tony Soprano, that no good son of a bitch, blah 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 blah. I mean, that is from the onset. Nothing in terms of the fact that at one point, literally, their relationship is very much
there's no joy in that family, no.
Right. Well, no, because at one point, Christopher, in the series, Christopher is like, it's the same kind of relationship with Christopher.
Right. Christopher looks up to him, and Tony loved him too.
Whereas with Tony and Dickie Moltisanti. So, there's that whole relationship, and that's like, obviously Tony kills him, but at the, and there's certainly a part of that, but there's no warmth at all. It's all, that fucker killed me, from that perspective.
Yeah, I'd be kind of pissed too after 7 seasons, but but after all the stuff, and then, like I said, Christopher tried to knock his drug habit. Had Christopher not been high, I think Tony would have. Well, we can speculate on anyway. We can speculate on what might have been later, but it was because of the fact. So
here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing I wanted to get to for you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, with the way, because there's a scene once the credits go, and I just get this feeling like we're not done.
No, we're not done.
We're not done with anything in this part of the stories that David Chase is looking to tell here.
No, that we're obviously, they know that the fans are hungry, and I know I was. I wanted another hour at least to this film. I was totally engulfed, absorbed, and it was just great things, like little takeaways from me. It's like I remember seeing Joey Diaz
Mm-hmm.
He's been on interviews, and I think he had his own show as well. But I remember seeing him, and like half his head got, when he gets whacked, half his head goes off.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other lines was towards the end of the film, and Silvio is shooing Tony away, and Tony's like, "Where's Dickie here? Is Uncle Dickie here?" He's not here. Well, his car's here. Well, his battery's dead. It's like making these.
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, where is he?" And he says, "What do we look like, Rand McNally?"
Yeah, really.
I got a good chuckle out of that.
Well, and it's like
this is like kids today isn't going to know who Rand McNally is. He's never picked up a map in their life. But I thought that was it was great. It was great entertainment on my part. And although the violence, some of the scenes the garage scene where with the pneumatic lug wrench, I had to look away. But
I think like I said, I'm glad I saw it.
It was great. I loved it.
I don't know if I call it highly recommended, but if you're a fan of The Sopranos, you definitely want to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I call it highly recommended. I don't know if I put it.
It was good, but I
don't
said
know that I can put it in the Goodfellas,
no,
Scarface, Godfather category.
Yeah, obviously they didn't take a lot of time to get you acquainted with the cast of characters like a movie like Goodfellas would. This is obviously part of the continuity, part of the cinematic universe, if you want to call it, for lack of a better term, for The Sopranos.
I think the interesting question to me, so ironically, it just did get announced after the release of the movie that David Chase has a 5-year deal with Warner / HBO Max / HBO for in terms of a $5 exclusive in terms of that he's got first right refusal, first look kind of thing on possible projects. It's not said what the projects and content he'll be working on is, but I gotta be honest, if it's not either a sequel to this movie
or maybe a limited series or a mini series
or
something,
or a new series, then I would be shocked. And that's the other thing I would ask you, Mike, is so Michael Gandolfini is probably what, 20?
Yeah.
I don't know his exact age.
No, he was a kid. Like Gandolfini died in like 2013, and he was a kid.
Right.
And he was with him when he died. He had a massive heart attack.
How old is?
So I'd say he's probably about 22, 20. I'd say.
Well, no, there's a reason I'm asking this question, which is I'm trying to remember. So obviously, look, Tony's obviously married. Okay, so he's 22. Okay. Given production times and whatnot, you got to kind of sit there and say to yourself, okay, if they're doing it either as movies or TV, you kind of have a limited window.
Yeah, but if someone looks young for their age, and like I said, you hide, he had long hair, and that's also instills his love of the classic rock. He always heard the classic rock out of his car as he's driving around.
I get it.
And the soundtrack of the series. But yeah, I know. Michael Gandolfini, as you've only got so many years before he starts to get to be about the same age as James when the series was shot.
Right, exactly. And, granted, you have a lot of years to play with because, Tony hasn't officially gotten out of high school yet by the end of the movie.
Right.
So, the truth is, I don't know. I don't really have a great guess as to how old Tony was in the series. Maybe in his 50s?
By the time the series was over, I think it was like... The series started like in the late 90s. It was before 9/11 when The Sopranos started.
Right.
After.
I'm just trying to think from a perspective of
how,
because look, Meadow,
because they married and they had Meadow, who was just about to who was in high school at the time.
Right, and AJ was just kind of starting.
So you got about maybe about 20, maybe 25 years before you catch up to the time where the series is. So. Right,
exactly. I guess, like I said, the only thing is you are kind of on a window here, which is okay. Depending on how much time you're going to take with this, Michael Gandolfini's as it is, you had him playing a high school character. You had him playing a high school kid, and he's 22. I don't know how much longer you can get away with that.
And the kid who played the young boy, Tony, it looked a lot like AJ. The kid who played his son.
Mm-hmm.
So, now,
and I'll be honest. I said to you, I mean, I would have liked to have seen them go the other way with this and go with where things are now.
Yeah, where Meadow and AJ are now.
Where Meadow and AJ are now, I think that would be really interesting to me, and I'd like to see that, especially because there's a lot of ways you could go where you could explain whatever happened to Tony, and go that way.
That's the direction. This is the direction they went with. Because when the series ended, they wanted more. The fans wanted more. This was the biggest show at the time when it ended.
Right.
And then,
well, like I said, to me, I always laugh because it's like there's two ways to look at this, which is either A, you're going to go back to the past and go do it, or B, you can move forward. You can move forward, and they've chose not to move forward. They chose to go backwards. And I don't know. Sometimes, in this case, it worked.
It was a period piece, right?
Right. And this time it worked. But how many times have we seen where these guys go backwards, and you're just like, nah, I would rather you move forward. You know? It
was good. I thought it was like, wait a minute, and Ray Liotta's character dies early in the film, and we're like, oh, I guess that's it for him. But no, he's got a brother in prison, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. I'd give it 4.5 out of 5 yeah-mans. What say you?
I'll take 3.5.
3.5? Okay.
You know, I mean,
what would you? What took the marks down for you?
I felt like at times there were a couple of moments here or there where it was like, okay, where are we going?
Yeah. The series was like that. It was sometimes big shit happens, sometimes not very much does.
Right. No, but the difference is it's a series. This is a movie.
Right.
And at some point, like for example, and again, maybe part of the problem is, okay, so I know Michael Gandolfini's in the movie, and Michael Gandolfini's got to be at least in his 20s, so we're still dealing with whoever's playing, like Tony, who's like what? Got to be 10? Or something like that at the time.
Yeah, what the time is like, his dad goes to jail, yeah.
Right, and all that stuff, and it's like, it literally takes an hour into the movie. And by the way, that's what I looked at. I was curious. I'm like, we haven't seen Michael Gandolfini yet. And I'm like, what time are we in the movie? And literally, right after I checked it clocked in like around almost 1 hour. Like, literally within the next 5 minutes, they time shift.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so it took you 65 minutes to get to.
Like I said, the movie revolves mostly around Dickie.
Yeah, I think that's part of my other problem with it, which is it sort of revolves around Dickie, but the truth of the matter is that that's not who the story's about. At the end of the day, that's not.
Well, we all want the focal point to be Tony because he was the focal point of the whole show.
Well, but at the end of the day, it's funny because by the end, that is exactly what
this
is really about.
The narrative gravitates toward him.
Right. I mean, this is really. I mean, the story. The story is about the Molisantes, but the truth is that this story is basically how did Tony Soprano end down the path.
You got to get the pod race before you get Anakin. You know, it's like
but now we got Jar Jar Binks.
What's the?
And we should not want that.
Me should not want to be in Newark.
Me should not want to be in Newark.
What the fuck you doing here?
Me should not know.
Have a cannoli, Jar Jar. Don't eat the cannolis, Jar Jar. Yeah.
Means I gotta read Brad McNally.
Oh God! So I liked it and you liked it, so I liked it more. But I was like I said,
again.
You say did you finish the series?
I never really did.
Oh, I did. I was there from start to finish.
I never watched the last season. I didn't have HBO at the time, and I never got around to finishing the last bit. But, it is kind of funny because it's like, I will say, I think if you did a little bit of primer work, it was probably more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I would have gone from 3.5 to closer to 4. Yeah. But the fact where it's like, okay, wait, now I got to remember who this one is, that one is, and and what do I got to remember, and
right.
that I think that took a little bit away of it too. But yeah, like I said, I'll be curious to see if they go series or if they go another movie.
I think that I don't know. Maybe there's enough if I had to bet.
I think series would be the better way to go.
I think it'd be like a 6-episode season. 6 hours. Instead of just a 2-hour movie. The 2-hour movie was the pilot.
Well, the interesting part is if you do 6 hours, if you do 6 to 8 episode seasons, okay, you could get back into production with the next seasons a lot faster. Which would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because, one of the problems at one point with The Sopranos was, okay, like, it wouldn't be on for a couple of years because it took them maybe, it took them a while to get back into production or this,
and the pandemic. Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't a pandemic at the time, but, I don't know. Sometimes it just seemed like it took forever. Some of these HBO shows, when they were at their height, literally it's like, okay, sometimes it would take them 2 years.
I see where some of the budget
together.
was, with all these, especially the riot scenes. Because there were some, I don't know if they used CG or if they had actual sets of all the storefronts, they had to alter to look like the time datum.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. I really liked it.
Okay, so let's get to the other thing we both watched, which was What If.
Mm-hmm. Leading up to the season finale next week. This week. But anyway.
So we're down to the end already?
Yes. This week is the final episode of the season.
Oh, God. Okay.
So we're leading up. This was a big one, though. This is a big one. Where they teased it at the beginning. And the last one, I thought it was going to be a continuation, but it wasn't. But, so Ultron wins, pretty much. Pretty much everything. But they focus on Black Widow and Hawkeye as was that Jeremy Renner? I think it was.
I think so.
Jeremy as Hawkeye. Well, they're in the aftermath of the trying to escape the Ultron robots, the Ultron invasion or whatever, and they seek out Zola. Because he's also an AI, but he's analog, so he's not affected by Ultron. And I presume they got the same actor as the voice of Zola as well. Because that's
I think they did.
But Ultron's busy defeating everybody, and they get Zola downloaded into one of the drones, but then it's like, oops. Yeah, your princess is in another castle because Ultron has left the known universe because he can watch the Watcher. And it was like, what? And I don't know if this has ever happened in Marvel Comics, but has the Watcher ever had to fight? Ever had to do battle?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. And again, I'll be honest and say that it's been a while since I've read anything. So this is the first time that I'm aware of ever seen the Watcher fight at all.
Because, that's not his thing. His thing is watching.
Yeah.
So Ultron is, he goes to all the planets and blows up everything. And
can we take a step back?
Okay, take a step back.
I'm confused.
Okay. So
Ultron takes over Earth and he is the new version that essentially is Vision. And he's
Yeah,
got
he
the
yeah,
mind,
right.
and he's got the Mind Stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then Thanos shows up with the gauntlet with the other 5.
Yep.
And yet, Ultron just dispatches him
In a
like
split
nothing.
second. Just a split-second ambush.
In a split second.
Yeah.
I
Splits
just
him.
don't buy it.
Bisects him.
Yeah, I don't. No. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. That's
creating a lot of memes.
That's the first part I don't buy. The second part I don't buy is, okay, so Ultron has the Infinity Gauntlet within himself.
And he's got the Infinity armor, around him.
Yeah,
right.
or armor, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Okay. And somehow, with that, he can see the Watcher. And yet, in Loki, the TVA make it really clear that
when you're traveling through the multiverse, or you're traveling through, right.
That like, the stones aren't that, or like, yeah, got them in a Cracker Jack box kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, the stones are powerful enough, again, where you can detect the Watcher and attack the Watcher in his realm.
Right.
Again, I'm certainly interested in watching. It was part of it was interesting to see the Watcher fight. There's another part of me where I'm just like watching this, Mike, and I'm like, I feel like there's something wrong here. Like some of this doesn't make sense, or this isn't connecting with some of the things that we've seen in the Marvel Universe. Or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so to me, that's, maybe you feel differently. I don't know.
I'm still digging it. And I'm not like this. I don't think I could say this was my favorite, but this was still cool.
Okay.
But sure, why not? That's pretty much my sentimentality, like, okay, why not? But the thing is that they say, well, when you have all 6 Infinity Stones, do you gain omnipotence? You have the ingots of the aspects of, reality and time and space and all that stuff.
So here's why. I guess here's the question I run into, which is, so Thanos has this entire theory, the MCU version of him has this entire theory of the fact that, we have to cut life in half. So if he's this omnipotent, apparently, if he could be as omnipotent of time and space to other realities, why would he just stop at the one?
Because he was barely able to hold the Infinity Gauntlet long enough for him to get his goal accomplished.
I get, maybe.
Ultron, used the vibranium or whatever, or the armor he had, where he's able to wield all 6 easily. Maybe because he was maybe because he was a machine. Maybe because of his vibranium body. That might have been part of it.
I don't
know. But Thanos was barely able to hold it together. like I said, he used it twice, and it pretty much almost killed him. But Ultron, he didn't use the snap. He didn't use the power of all 6 Infinity Stones. Maybe the combined power gave him that omnipotence to see, looked into the Watcher's realm.
Maybe. I don't know. Again, I'll go along with it for now. I'm curious to see where they go with this as a story, although I have a feeling I already know because I've heard something about, a multiverse Avengers kind of thing.
We'll get some kind of motley crew will come together. Whether the Watcher will assemble it because he went to the imprisoned Doctor Strange from that previous episode, who has gotten all super duper powerful because he's trying to bring back his girlfriend, and there might be some other kind of alliance. We're going to see some, you said, some ragtag group of.
Well, okay, so let's just have fun with this.
Okay.
So we've seen of the series we've seen. We've seen a whole bunch of episodes of what ifs here. Here's the interesting question: who do we think we're going to see?
Howard the Duck.
Maybe. I mean,
bring Howard. He'll defeat Infinity Ultron.
So I think we'll get what's her name? My brain's mush at the moment. Captain America's girlfriend.
Oh, Captain Carter.
Yeah, I think we'll get Captain Carter. I think we might even get Captain Carter and Steve Rogers in the Iron Man outfit.
Right, the Hydra Buster, right.
The Hydra Buster. Okay. I think we'll get them. Maybe we get the Ravengers.
Yeah, maybe the Ravagers. Maybe that one final Star-Lord, Chadwick Boseman. Maybe maybe that's how this all ties together. Some of these I've been wanting a sequel, or a continuation of, and maybe this is what it's going to culminate into. This where that's where all these episodes are going to tie together to defeat this one bad villain at the end. Maybe that's what this will lead to. It seems like.
I mean, it seems like we're probably going to get Thor and Captain Marvel from
not from that universe. This Thor was killed, and this Captain Marvel was killed.
Was it?
Yeah, Captain. When Ultron went to Xandar, he fought Captain Marvel and pretty much destroyed a solar system around her.
Right.
So I presume she did not survive.
But there's the other episode where, the whole, humorous episode. Where
the party
we'll get
one.
Those,
yeah.
Right, I think we'll get those two.
Right.
Could we get Spider-Man? Because he's the last one from the zombie planet.
Yeah, I get Paul Rudd's disembodied head.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just trying to piece together.
Yeah.
Who or what we would get is kind of where
Marvel did tease one character we haven't seen yet before, who we're going to see on Wednesday's episode, and that's Gamora.
I wasn't sure if that was legit or not.
No, that's legit. Despite the Facebooks being down this morning, that's one thing that posted today. So.
Okay.
But of course the Doctor Strange from that one episode has become super duper powerful, so the Watcher had no choice. But yeah, that looks good. Obviously, I'll watch it, and it's like I'm not super duper emotionally invested. Like this is all just a bunch of one-off stories, and
Well, no, I don't know.
It's entertaining.
I don't know if
it's fine.
I don't think it is one-off stories.
That's obviously going to come together, but it's obviously this is obviously a bunch of one-off stories. I mean, it literally is.
But I don't think it is. I think this is. I mean, I think that if you think about it, so everything goes to hell with the TVA. The one and there's suddenly all this suddenly there's a multiverse and there's an issue. I think that these are all parts of that multiverse. And I think it all fits in.
Right. And whatever havoc that Scarlet Witch...
right, or whatever's going to happen with the Spider-Man stuff and all that stuff, too. Right. Speaking of which, I did not watch Venom.
I'm shocked by this news.
I did not watch Venom. However, I did see the post-credit scene.
Okay, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it. Fast forward maybe about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, lay it on me, man. I did not.
So have you seen it or no?
No, I've not, but it's okay. Do it.
So
do it.
Basically, I guess in the end, after the big fight with Carnage, Eddie and Venom are hanging out someplace on an island, a tropical island, where nobody can find them, and they're in he's in almost kind of like a beach cabin kind of thing, and they're talking in general, and they're talking about secrets, and Venom's talking about how he has 80 million, he has 80 million different types of years. He's lived far longer than him, and about secrets and stuff like that. And he's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, let me show you just one example of that. And as he does that, or he's doing this, all of a sudden, the room changes to what seems like a nice hotel room. And on the TV is the scene from the post-credit scene from Spider-Man No Way Home. Not No Way Home. What's the second one?
It was Far From Home.
Far From Home. So they're literally watching the news, and they see the whole thing.
They see J. Jonah Jameson outing Spider-Man.
Right, and they see Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's there. And Venom looks at the screen, and Venom kind of like licks the screen. And there's a guy who wanders in and goes, hey, what are you guys doing in my hotel room? So the long and the short of it is Venom is now in the MCU. Or in the MCU universe.
Okay. Good.
So Tom Hardy's Venom is now in the MCU universe. I don't know what that means about Carnage down the road, or who knows. I don't know where they left Carnage. I have no idea.
Or if Woody Harrelson's Carnage died or whatever.
Right, exactly. I don't know. I didn't see the movie. I can't answer those questions. What I can tell you is that we are now setting up at some point for Venom and Spider-Man to run into each other. And apparently, is it going to be in No Way Home? Or is it going to be they're setting up for something else, even more so, down the road? But essentially, they have put Tom Hardy's Venom into the MCU.
Have we ever had a post-credit scene that was a dead end or something that didn't pan out? Did we ever have one of those?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't remember there ever being one, but have we ever had a post-credit scene where, oh my God, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen?
Well, no. So there's an article out there from Andy Serkis about that this is legit. Mm-hmm. That this was the direction they were going, and that's exactly that. No, he is now that Eddie and Venom are in the MCU.
Okay.
So the question is, are they in No Way Home, or are we setting up for something else
afterward
for another Spider-Man movie down the road?
Yeah, okay.
So that's the real big news from Venom 2.
I was surprised my sister didn't drag me to see Venom because she's a big Tom Hardy fan and follows him on IG and all that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but she was like, no, I'm good till I can see it for free. I'm like, okay. So I'll see it when I'll see it when I can see it for free.
Right. No, that's kind of my feeling, or, if at some point, yeah. That's kind of my same feeling that you and I have the same way, in terms of where we're at with this, which is I'm not running around to go find it. I don't feel the need to do that. So, but I did feel like we should talk about it or bring it up because, certainly it seems as though that is now, legit.
Well, and apparently there's a scene that's finally leaked now where Ryan Reynolds' character in Free Guy picks up Captain America's shield, and it cuts to Chris Evans going, so kind of like cursing it or something like that. So apparently that happens in Free Guy. And I have to
that must be that thing that they've been talking about.
I'll have to find Free Guy. I don't know where I can find it online, if I can find it streaming or someplace. So, but no, that's okay. This opens up to other things, but we'd be more interested in seeing, like, say, an X-Men or Fantastic Four, but Venom is the start.
Well, but it's interesting because that means that the relationship between Marvel and Sony, there's going to be more of a relationship between those two beyond this movie, which means that they've come up with something that they can all agree upon and that they can all work together and piece it all together and make it work. So to me, that's the part that's the interesting part about this. And we'll see where it goes. We'll see how this all works and how this plays out and, where this goes. But again, that's still a big story in that regard. I'm looking at other things. Apparently Law and Order is coming back after being 12 years off the air.
Well, they've had the Special Victims Unit and
right, but we're talking about like the original
Law and Order series, right? The core series that spawned all the spin-offs, right?
Mm-hmm. And I guess they'll start at season 21, considering the fact that they had done 20 years. But so I guess they won't start at 1; they'll start at 21. I'll be curious to see. I don't know. It's funny. This is the part where how Ivan's usually like, why can't they do anything new? Here's an example of where I'm kind of like.
We even brought that up as a point about why can't they do anything new.
Mm.
This came up because it's a winning formula.
Right, and so the irony to me is, I don't know how will you be watching new Law and Order?
No, I don't watch much television to begin with. You know this, so if it's around,
well, the point.
Around, but I mean that's. No, I think I'm good.
So it's interesting because, there's two ways to look at this, which is, okay, either you need to go out and get either you got to get somebody with a big name to splash this, or you need to go back and you need to go get some people who were previously on the show, and I don't know if that's going to necessarily, the latter, I'm not sure how much it works. I know Benjamin Pratt is around. Unfortunately, you signed Christopher Mulroney to do this Law and Order organized crime thing. This would have been a much better fit for him. Jesse Martin's doing The Flash. I don't see him leaving The Flash to go and do this, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Sam Waterston, the last we saw of Sam Waterston was the DA in Manhattan. I don't know if they still are running with that or not. I don't know if Sam Waterston will be back or not. But in fairness, Sam Waterston kind of old. Again, the point being is I'm just kind of curious if you're going to go with a whole bunch of people we've never heard of, or not get somebody with some star appeal. I don't know really in reality if
might see a cameo by a core original character or from the original series.
I guess,
but it might start brand new. Law and Order: The Next Generation.
Yeah,
Patrick Stewart will be the will be the attorney.
They need to find, like I said, some people who right now aren't necessarily doing who are movie people but aren't doing the movies like they used to that they can pull in to make a splash on TV. It's funny. There's something about here where Tom Hardy finally explains the Bane voice for Dark Knight Rises, but that's on the Squares page. You can read it. Boba Fett's coming on the 29th of December.
Yeah, before The Mandalorian. They just started filming The Mandalorian, season 3.
Did they really?
Yep.
Kevin Smith explains why he'll never direct a Marvel movie. He has that's nice, except for the fact that, honestly, Kevin Smith is so far in bed with DC. I don't know why he would at this point.
Although, I was TBS had on Captain Marvel the other night, and I was watching it, and it's a very endearing scene seeing Stan Lee holding a Mallrats script.
Right, that's the closest they've come to that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin hasn't worked with. It's not to say that he doesn't have a decent relationship with Marvel, but it's been a long time since Kevin has done a book with Marvel.
Well,
and by the way,
there was gonna. I know they put the kibosh on it, but he was gonna do. Wasn't he gonna do like a Howard the Duck series?
No.
For Marvel.
Maybe he was, but
yeah, I think that was in the works, but it never it fell through or something.
He still had. There's still series. There's still comics where he hasn't delivered unlimited series 20 years later, 20 or 30 years later. That, there's still people grumbling in the comic community where it's like, here's a thought. Have you ever considered finishing your Spider-Man Black Cat limited series? That kind of thing.
Just finished. Well, he had a heart attack. It changes you, he reminds everyone every day that he had a heart attack. But the thing is that Kevin's he just finished Clerks 3. He's doing the things he wants to do, and he's doing what's making him money, and so he does that. So I don't know. Like, you're right. If he has some comic stories, then maybe he could poke some writers and say, "Hey, come up with an idea." But when are we getting the second half of that He-Man series that he did? That's coming.
I don't know. There's another example of stuff he's got coming up.
Yeah. What if he leaves never touches it again? Like, we never get part 2 of that.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Snoochie boochies. What else? Here's one I posted. Just a goofy story. This one's from the Daily Mail. Drunk man spends hours helping search party looking for himself.
Yep.
That happened. So this happened in Turkey. Okay.
There's apparently a director's cut that's getting run only in theaters of Rocky IV. That has an additional 40 minutes. No offense, I'm not going to the theaters to go see this.
No, me neither. I don't think I need 40 more minutes of Rocky IV. I mean, Rocky IV is concise enough. I mean, introduce the villain, he kills your friend, you got to go train, you fight, and it's pretty much a tie, but you've solved the Cold War.
Yeah.
And Paulie gets, and Paulie gets some fun comedy moments.
Then you can change. Then everybody can change.
You can't win.
I must break you. Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, seriously.
Nope. No Stallone. No Rocky IV. No good.
Along those lines, so, there's been a slight buzz about releasing the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, and supposedly there's some talk now finally at Warner's about, hey, let's just put it to HBO Max and do it. And I gotta be honest, to me, as much as I wasn't big on the Justice, the Snyder cut, if you did the Snyder cut, then sure, why not? Let's do the Ayer cut too. And see what the differences are between what he did versus the original Suicide Squad movie. I'd be interested.
Yeah, I think a streaming event would be better suited instead of putting out a director's cut DVD, because no one's buying DVDs.
Well, that too. But the other thing is that, honestly, you'll get enough people to watch that. You will. I mean, we're at that point now where, and in fairness, it's not like, that they were supposed to be doing that Green Lantern series, and that has taken for effing ever.
Yeah.
To put together, and
a lot of effects budget.
Thankfully they've had Titans, and they've had, thankfully they've had Titans. Thankfully they've had Doom Patrol. In fairness, as much as I wasn't a fan of it, that Justice League movie was helpful. They are not, it's not like they're churning out. They're churning out enough content lately. I know they have the Peacemaker thing in the hamper, and it should be out any time. But, they're a little behind the 8 ball with some of this stuff for HBO Max, and they really could be doing more with it. So, but we'll see. Well, I can't.
Let's see what other news. Scarlett Jo has settled her lawsuit against Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So good on them. They threw enough money at her to shut her up, I guess. That was enough.
Or
they just did some kind of, I don't know, whatever agreement. So that's good. You know, things are amicable again between the two.
I guess Amazon IMDb TV, which is, I guess, a spin-off from Amazon of a different service.
Streaming service.
So apparently, that's where the new Bosch episodes are going to be, but apparently they're looking at doing Cruel Intentions, which was popular in the 90s and with good reason. You know, I suddenly definitely wanted a part of Sarah Michelle Gellar at that point.
Was that after she left Buffy?
No, it's during while she.
It was a film. It was a movie while she was doing Buffy.
Right, and that's the one where her and Selma Blair do the lesbian kiss.
Oh, it's a modernized. It's like a modernized version of an old French novel. Okay.
The fact that your reaction to that is not iconic is kind of hysterical, Mike. I mean, that literally is like one of those, like, from that time frame. It is one of those where it's like, whoa, hello. I mean, because like,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not. But I mean, it was a big deal, obviously, when it happened.
Oh. Speaking of which, so I'm watching the morning show
on Apple. Okay.
On Apple Plus.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, and I'm like, so Julianne Margulies is apparently going to be on the show now for this season, and her and Reese Witherspoon are in this limo. And I'm like, they're not. I don't. There's this vibe that I'm like, are they really going to do like the lesbian thing? Are they really going to do like the lesbian thing? And then literally, you know, Reese Witherspoon like literally is like going full on tongue on Juliana Margulies.
Okay.
And
well,
then there's like the back. Oh yeah, no, I was like. I mean, I'm like surprised the internet didn't explode from this. Like that, it seems like it's so like nobody's talking about this, but it's like, I don't know. I was like, damn. I'm like, this has got to be like something people would meme or something like this. Like it's like, you know, we're talking about like two of like the hottest women. You know, you get the idea. I'm like, damn.
Okay, no.
I was like, hello.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
Would you? Look at that. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Seriously, I was like watching and I'm like, are they really gonna? Whoa. Okay. I'll be watching this show I'm watching the show because it's a good show, but now I'm like, okay, this could be a lot of fun. Might need some cold showers after this show. You know, so yeah. I'm just surprised. Like I said, I'm surprised that it hasn't been out there as much where people are like, not like going like, oh my God, did you see that? But again, I'm also trying not to spoil, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But apparently I just did here. So
yes, that's okay.
But yeah, if you can find it on YouTube. Like,
I'm sure.
They go full on.
It'll be on the internet, doesn't forget things like that, so, and won't.
They go full on.
Right.
It's like, you know, it's like, we're not talking like a little, like, okay, they kind of like
just a little
central.
peck, you know, like
or like
a little romantic thing. They go like, it's like when Matt Damon and Michael Douglas went full on when in the Liberace movie they made. Like, it's like, oh, God, Matt Damon. That guy.
Yeah. No.
We got another news, or I think that'll do.
I don't think I got anything else unless you got something.
No, I'm good. That'll do for this week, I reckon.
Yeah.
I guess James Bond comes out this week. I guess.
Oh, does it?
I think it's this week. Let me double check the internets, but I'm pretty sure that No Time to Die is this weekend. They had a premiere in the UK. Yep, United States, October 8th. So it's this Friday.
Okay.
I might go see it. Although Sunday, I got some stuff to do. I don't know. I'm free Friday night. I don't know. Maybe I'll just, like, if it's playing my local theater, I might just hop in. Because I'm interested. I mean, I never saw Quantum of Solace. I did like Skyfall, and I did like, what was the first one he did? Casino Royale. But what was it? Yeah, but, I'll catch it, maybe. We'll see. And, of course, we'll talk about, I don't know if it's season 1, if there's going to be another season of What If. So we'll summarize, we'll recap, and we'll do a full debrief on What If next week, and get our thoughts on that. Ivan, he is absent this week, so hopefully we'll catch him next week. He's on.
Yeah, I wanted to get his take on.
Yeah, he was supposed to watch an episode of something for us. He was supposed to watch an episode of the Wonder Years.
Wonder Years.
Yeah, he never got around to it, apparently.
Well, I was going to ask him his take on the Super Bowl halftime show, too.
Yeah, the music scene, yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of curious to see his reaction to that. I'm excited. I know there are a lot of people like, oh, it's halftime, how good of a show could it be? Like,
I'll watch
given
it.
Given some of the acts that we've had over the years, it's like, for the first time in a while, I'm kind of excited because, anyway.
I'll watch it.
So, I mean, what's the over-under on how many times the show gets bleeped? That should be the bet.
Right. Now, there'll be a 2-minute, 3, 5, 7-minute delay. The only game delay is the halftime show.
Yeah. We're gonna put the entire halftime show on a 2-hour delay. Yeah. So, anyway. All right, where do they find us?
We're on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. We're on YouTube. Click the bell. You can subscribe. You can listen there if you'd like, but if we'd prefer you listen, I think, on your usual podcast hosting platforms. That would be fantastic. Leave us a 5-star review if you can. We're on iTunes, Google, Spotify, Anchor.fm/SOTRT. And, of course, listen to us live here on Clubhouse. Thank you for the few people who came in and out. They decided to sit and listen for a while. A couple people for a little while, so we appreciate you stopping in to listen. Jeff is everywhere at Dynamite Productions. Ivan is on Twitch at Java and Ivan. Email us if you like, or follow us on Facebook. That's where we're most active, when Facebook is not down, if you know what I mean. Email us at sotrtpodcast@gmail.com.
Well, that's great. So this is episode, 167? Yeah, well, that sounds like a plan. It's 167. Glad you were with us tonight, or today, or tomorrow, whatever time you are listening to us. And, hopefully you'll join us again next week. And again, if you're in the Clubhouse universe, pop on by on Monday night at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. What would be 6:30 Mountain and 5:30 Pacific time, and hang out with us. And we're always, honestly, I would kind of laugh because these people are kind of sitting in here. And it's like, if they raise their hand, we'd probably bring them up.
Raise their hand, ask a question. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we'll see you next week.